Over the last 2 years, the market's performance has been among the strongest in its history. Since the 2020 crash, the S&P 500 has increased by more over 100%, which is unusual. Expect a maximum of 10% and an average of 8% if you're being conservative. However, when we got closer to 2022, January proved to be a tough month, and the market as a whole imploded. The S&P 500 index dropped over 10%. Everything else, including Apple, Tesla, and Meta, suddenly plummeted. Ever since March of 2020, that has been the most terrible month. The housing market has been booming, while stocks have been decreasing. Prices have continued to rise due to historically low interest rates. Experts have foreseen a crash since the outset. But where is the accident? Why is the housing market still growing? Why hasn't the real estate market crashed yet? As a result, we'll talk about why the housing market hasn't crashed yet and what they don't want you to know in today's video. If you're new to Usable Wisdom, subscribe for more content that will certainly jumpstart your quest for enormous wealth. The housing market is relatively predictable and easy to regulate by the Federal Reserve. And there's always a need for homes because everyone requires a place to live. Even if we have shelter, a home is one of the best assets to invest in because it generates income. Home demand will always exist, but it will fluctuate depending on prices. Because the economy was at its pinnacle between 2017 and 2020, housing prices did not grow at all. Prior to 2017, they could only observe stagnation in the housing market. Mortgage rates were hovering around 25%, putting a damper on the housing market. However, in 2020, interest rates were reduced to near 0%, making mortgages considerably more affordable. Purchasing a home at 2% or 3% is one of the most important financial decisions you will ever make. That is what spurred the demand and caused prices to rise by more than 20%. Those requests will vanish as soon as those super low rates disappear, as experts have predicted all along. However, guess what? The Fed has never raised interest rates in the last 2 years, keeping them near 0%. However, mortgage rates are higher now than they were in 2020. Sure, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell has stated that the central bank plans to hike rates this spring. But that isn't guaranteed because the Fed frequently doesn't do what they say until they do it, or misrepresents the facts in order to avoid market pandemonium. They continued insisting that inflation will not be a concern in 2020 and 2021. Although the Fed has the greatest data available, they are aware that there is an issue. However, in order to ease everyone down, they continued to claim that inflation was approximately 3%. In any case, rising interest rates are a matter of when and not if. At the end of the day, if inflation is greater than 3%, it is not sustainable. The major question is whether the market would fall if interest rates are increased. The answer is most likely no. The housing supply shrank drastically after the 2008 financial crisis. This graph shows how many fewer residents have been created since then. The government realized that if it did not manage the housing market, another similar disaster would occur. As a result, the supply of houses was already limited, causing real estate prices to progressively climb. However, the pandemic just decimated whatever supply chain remained. Despite the fact that the pandemic has been ongoing for nearly 2 years, the supply chain has yet to recover. So even if mortgage rates rise significantly, house prices will not fall since there are now insufficient properties on the market. This supply network has been in the works since the end of World War II. For example, to create a single Timberland boot, supplies would be flown from 5 or 6 different nations to a facility in Thailand, where they would be assembled and then shipped all over the world, including the United States. As a result, a closed facility in one location can have an impact on the rest of the supply chain. Because of this, businesses are redesigning their whole supply chains to prepare for another pandemic, by shifting facilities closer to where the final product is marketed. While you learn how to live with this virus, this will take some time. Approximately 91% of the building enterprises polled by Zonda said they were having supply chain issues. Building a home takes longer due to a paucity of materials, and the delays and higher input costs are adding to rising home prices. This is the worst scenario we've been in since at least World War II. These aren't the only issues to consider. Corporations are purchasing rental properties. Around 20% of residences are typically purchased by corporations, thus reducing the market's supply of dwellings. However, inflation is by far the most serious concern. Inflation has a significant psychological effect. People were less likely to sell if they expected their home to cost more in the future, especially in the near future. Now, what does that mean exactly? With fewer properties on the market, prices will continue to rise. Why would you sell your home now when you may perhaps sell it for 10% more by the end of the year? It is difficult to expect house prices to fall unless inflation is handled or supply chains are re-established. But why hasn't the Federal Reserve raised interest rates? The Federal Reserve's mission is to ensure that the economy grows as well as combats inflation. Yet the last 2 years have proven to be far more unpredictable than everyone anticipated. At first look, it appeared that the problem would be fixed as soon as we developed a vaccine. Regrettably, the government faced difficulties to vaccinate enough citizens. And secondly, new strains of the virus emerged that the current vaccine can't protect us from. And thirdly, by the time we determined how to deal with the new strains, or persuade the rest of the population to get the vaccine, it would have been too late. Those who had previously received the vaccine had to get it again. It's an endless crisis. The majority of government authorities are realizing that no matter how harmful this virus is, there's no way to completely eradicate it. Even if we did, the cost would be so high that it would not be worth it. As a result, we're learning to live with it. The Federal Reserve is keeping interest rates low until it is evident how the economy will respond to these constraints. The only thing we can be certain of is that prices will not rise by double digits this year. It will most likely be between 5% and 8%, if not less. Because of the shortage of properties on the market, even individuals who are unable to make their mortgage payments can still sell their homes for a profit, which is another reason why we should not expect a housing catastrophe this year. Things will become a lot clearer if the Fed can bring inflation below 3%. But at the end of the day, these are all projections based on the facts on the ground. However, only time will tell what will truly ensue. Thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful in teaching you something new. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and click the notification bell for more content like this. Until the next one, bye!